welcome to my November wrap-up. I'm so excited. I feel like the last few videos that I've made haven't been really bookish, and I keep wanting to do reading vlogs, but I haven't had a lot of time because it's the end of the semester, so it's mostly been me trying to like do little vlogs, enjoying that. But I'm so excited to sit down and like talk about books with you guys. So today we're gonna go over the books that I read in November. I'm so psyched to talk to you about some of these. Some of them I did not like. I read 7 books in November. I'm only talking about 6 of them. One of them was a reread, and it's also a book that like I reread for comfort, but I'm not planning on like promoting or talking about, if that makes sense. You might know, you might not know. It's okay, you don't need to know. Anyway, I read 7 books. 6 we're gonna be talking about today. Some of them more than others. I'm going to give a potential spoiler warning just because like I think the best conversations I have about books is when I can talk about them freely without worrying about spoiling anyone. So I'm just gonna give a general warning. If you haven't read any of these books and you're planning on reading them, / you don't wanna know anything about them before you read them, then maybe skip ahead to the ones that you have read, if you've read them already. So we're gonna go in order. So these actually have to be put down for a second, but we're gonna go in order that I read them in, and then you're also gonna probably notice a trend where I can talk about some of them. I don't know what that sound is, but we're gonna have to make do. I think that happens every time there's wind, which is weird. But anyways, just gonna have to make do with my shitty summaries if I can't summarize them very well, but hopefully I can. We're gonna do my reading wrap up a little bit differently this time. I'm going to start out by showing you all the books that I read, and then I'm gonna show you review by review, and I'm gonna give you like 2 seconds to guess which one it is before I do the reveal of like which book it is. Okay, it'll make sense once we start doing it, but I had this idea and I was like, this is actually so funny. I've seen versions of this on TikTok and I wanted to introduce it into my wrap-ups. So regardless of whether or not I like them, I'm gonna use the 1-star rating to identify the book. So you're gonna have to guess. I'm gonna have them pop up on the screen. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which I actually have the physical copy of. Heat of the Everflame. Lady Chatterley's Lover, which is this one. 6 Deaths of the Saint. Paradise Rot. Those are the only ones we're gonna be talking about / like reviewing today, okay? The first book we're gonna talk about, this is the 1-star review. Looking for any good decision the female main character made. And then the second one is no, because it took me this long to realize I actually don't give a shit. Okay, cast your votes. Which book is it? There's a couple of books on this list that have, I think all of them actually have female main characters. All of them except for one. The book is Heat of the Everflame, the 3rd Kindred's Curse book. It's so funny because what I've experienced with both the 2nd and the 3rd book is that there comes a point where I'm just like, I'm not really liking this. I don't know if I'll go on. But something that Pencool does really well, I think, is endings and like cliffhangers. Because I finished this one and I was like, actually, what if I just picked up the 4th book? What if I just immediately started reading the next one? And then to my dismay and my horror, it's not out yet. And I think what that means is there's a chance I'm probably never going to finish this series. I think as a whole, the series is worth reading. I'm actually not going to go into spoilers about this one. I know I just gave a spoiler warning, but for this one, because it's the 3rd book, I don't feel like it's fair to talk about details. But I will say that like by this point in time, the character got so annoying, the main character got so annoying that she was really hard to keep rooting for, which her name is DM. She becomes really, really, really insufferable, like really annoying to the point that like you don't, as a reader, you don't really want to root for her anymore, and you actually like think she's super annoying. And the other thing I'll say, I'm just gonna say this is gonna sound a little vague if you haven't read it, but she's very like morally superior in a very annoying way. Like yeah. Okay, let women rage, let women make bad mistakes. Let's just put it that way, okay? Let women do things that aren't morally the best. That's such a bad way of putting it. Next book that we're gonna go over. So again, only using 1-star reviews, even if I liked the book, even if I enjoyed it, even if I found it useful. Okay, this book was actually dog shit, so confusing and did not make literally any sense the entire time. And then here's the second one. Feels like it was written by a child. Prose was horrible to read, characters lacked depth, and the narrative flowed really unnaturally. Things occurred without real reason, nothing was believable or well motivated. No drama or tension was built, couldn't actually bring myself to finish it, can't even say the world building was good TBH. Very disappointing, not sure why it has such a high score. Okay, cast your votes. It's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I liked this book. I personally disagree with the review, especially the second one, because the second one's pretty intense. I really liked the conversation that it was having about like empathy and humanity and the distinguishing factors between like machines and androids versus human beings. I did think that there was a good amount of tension. Like the way that it was written, I read it pretty fast because it engaged my interest so much, because it didn't feel like the themes of empathy and androids and whatnot, it didn't feel like those were overtaking the actual plot. I do think that the plot was a little bit stilted, but I interpreted that as more so of like, because it is a shorter book and because a lot was happening, the pacing was in such a way that the stiltedness of it didn't take away from my understanding of the plot, and it also was like added to my enjoyment because I felt like things were moving pretty fast for most of the time. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that part of it. There were also, I did think that there was tension. Like there was literally a scene that I remember being like, what? Like out loud reacting to it when it was happening because I wasn't sure like what to believe basically in that scene. I already warned you about spoilers. But basically there's this part where the main character goes into this building that is infested with androids, and they literally have their entire own system. And he's talking to this other bounty hunter, and he doesn't know if the other bounty hunter is an android or not, because if it's an android, then he has to retire or like it's a problem. And they're having this like conversation about how the other bounty hunter's like, but I have a squirrel, this and that and the other. And the whole time I was like, wait, is he an android? Is he not an android? Like things were happening and I was like, what is happening here right now? And I was really interested. So I personally really like this book, but it's so funny because I was reading the different reviews and I was like, wow, people have really strong opinions. I haven't read anything else by Philip K. Dick. I did see a couple people say that like this isn't his best and he has better things that he's written. So like I'll eventually hopefully pick those up and read them. But my experience of this book and being the first book from this author, I really liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. And the conversations that it was having are really things that are on my mind now. I thought it was fun and I thought it was enjoyable. And I really liked that it made me think about like a lot of different things concerning machines and empathy and animals and AI and stuff like that. Here's the next two reviews for you to guess. Number one. I loved this book. Reading this felt like having one of those weird ass half dreams as you're trying to fall asleep that you aren't sure is real or not. I would have I forgot this happened. I would have moved out the first time my roommate pissed on me. Cast your votes. There's not really that many options left. I feel like it's obvious at this point, but I'm still gonna do this. So this is Paradise Rot by Jenny Huval, translated by Marjam Idris. I loved this book. I devoured it. I finished it so fast. And it is a weird book, but I love weird books. It's basically about this girl who goes, I think she's from like Sweden or something, and then she moves to England. I'm fuzzy on the details, but she moves somewhere and for school, and then she ends up moving in with this girl, and there's this like obsession slash like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just this idea of like, they're in this really confined space and people come in and out, but it's like, I don't know, the best way to demonstrate it is that there's a scene towards the like middle end where she goes to like take a bath or shower or something like that, and she notices that it's so like muggy and humid in the bathroom, and a mushroom has kind of grown out of the bathtub. That whole book felt like that. It felt like crawling into like a tiny confined, damp, smelly, like humid space and being stuck there, but it's not entirely uncomfortable. It's like that weird sense of like you're comfortable, but you're not. Like it's warm enough and like muggy enough that you feel held, but you're not. I know this sounds really weird, but that's how it felt reading this book, and I ate it up. Like I finished it so fast. I basically would have finished it in one sitting, but I had stuff to do. So literally one day I read until like, I don't know, 16, 17%. And then the next night I literally stayed up until like 12, 1 a.m. reading it. So I enjoyed it personally, but I can see where these reviews are saying because they're kind of funny. Moving on to the next book that I read. This was such a disappointment. Banning books is bad, but maybe the people who banned this one were onto something. Sounds like a literal fedora with arms wrote this. So cast your votes. Cast your votes. Do you have your votes? The book is Lady Chatterley's Lover. I did not like this book at all. I agree with the reviews. I felt like this was just the most boring thing I've read in a while. Like, oh my god. So it was a book club pick. I actually didn't even make it to the book club meeting. I wish I had because I want to know so bad what people thought about it. But basically what happens, it's literally just like, obviously Lady Chatterley's Lover, right? She's married, she has an affair with like the gamekeeper. It's all very blah, blah, blah. The only thing that I was like surprised about this book was how explicit it was. Like, it felt like smut, but like worse and ickier almost. Well, I don't like it in general, but I just did not enjoy it. And the story itself was so freaking boring. It was so boring that I just didn't want to like read it. So then eventually I got to a point where I kind of gave up and I listened to the last like 50% on audiobook just because I was like, I already put so much time into this, might as well finish and see what it's about. I'm so glad I switched to audiobook because I didn't enjoy it at all. And I do think that actually reading the audiobook made me hate it a little bit less than when I was reading myself. I hated this. Awful. Don't recommend. Don't recommend at all. Don't recommend at all. Don't do this to yourself. Awful. Okay. We only have like 2 books left and I didn't do the negative reviews for one of them because it's like a memoir and it's about grief and stuff, so I didn't want to do that. That's the Joan Didion book that I read, so I'll talk about that one last. So the next one, I'm gonna show you the 1-star reviews anyway. One of them is, I have no idea what I just read. Books like this are too clever for me. Saw a review that said, go into this blind and that was the worst possible advice you could have given. This is The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow. It's a short story. I decided to go ahead and read it when I was driving to Los Maples as a trip. And I personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was good and my brother approved as well because he literally messaged me and he was like, what was that book that we read in the car on the way to Los Maples? And I was like, oh my god, did you like it? And he thumbs up the message. He didn't say anything, but he thumbs it up, so I'm taking it as he approved. I thought it was super fascinating, especially as a short story. Most of the short stories I've engaged with are very like realistic fiction, and while I find the benefit of those, I've always been more intrigued by like finding short stories that are have like more of a magical, fantastical element, and I love this one. I thought it was such a good story. I do kind of wish that I had read it myself in a way, because I think that I would have probably gotten a lot more out of it, just like having the words in my head and viewing it and taking it a little bit slower, because with audiobooks you always kind of read a little bit faster, at least I do. I don't think you need to be super clever to pick up on it. I think you would just have to enjoy the ride, and I do kind of think like going into it blind does benefit you actually, so that's my advice. It might be bad advice according to one person, but that's what I feel. Honestly, I kind of wish it was a book. Like, I kind of wish it was a novel. I will say that much. So that's that on that. Finally, we're going to talk about The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. This is kind of like a memoir and a reflection on Joan Didion's husband's death and the aftermath, as well as her daughter's illness, being in the hospitals. I thought that this was pretty interesting, the way that it was written. When I immediately finished it, I think what stood out to me the most is something that I think probably drives why so many people love these books so much, which is the bluntness of her writing style and how she's able to kind of write about the personal in such a fascinating way, interspersed with like research and kind of like statistics and things like that. I will say I I don't get the intense hype around the book, because like something that I was thinking about after I read it and since I've read it is like people are always doing that, you know, the like performative well, not just performative male, but like the whole like performativity trend. Something that I noticed a lot and people were pointing out is like people are always carrying like this book by Joan Didion to prove some sort of a point about the intellectual they are. Is that what it is? That was what I understood from the whole performativity conversation. And I don't get it. I don't get why this is the book you would carry around with you to be like, I'm a journal girly. Does that make sense? Am I offending someone? I thought it was a good book. Like, I liked it. I enjoyed the book. I thought it was well written and I want to read her other stuff. I have played As It Lays, which is fiction kind of. And then I have Blue Nights, I think is the other one that it's called. I think she's a great writer, and I think that she's like, it's really fascinating the way she put this together and her comments on grief. But I didn't really highlight that much from it. So I don't know why anyone would be doing like a deep dive on this book, if that makes sense. Let me know if you're like really about this book. Let me know how you felt about it, because I just, yeah, I thought it was a good book, and I think that the author is a very talented writer. But at the same time, I was just like, I don't know why people are carrying it around, taking pictures of it in their bags, like making a whole thing out of it, or like calling themselves Didion girlies. I have a bad feeling that if I share this like out loud, actually people are going to be like, oh, you're just stupid, you don't get it. But you know what? I don't get it. I thought it was good, but I don't know why people are obsessed with her, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, then we're just different people with different opinions. That's that. These are all the books that I read last month. I really enjoyed everything I read. It was a really good reading month for me personally. After like, I finally feel like I've gotten on track with my reading, and the only thing stopping me from reading more is like how busy I've been with school and work and stuff. However, we're almost at the finish line. It's finally December, so I can't wait until the break starts, and then I'm going to try to read. I have so many books on my list, books that I'm in the middle of right now that I'm planning to read. So hoping that this Christmas time will be a lot of that. Let me know what you read. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned and like how you felt about them. The reason that I integrated the 1-star ratings was because I wanted to engage with like opinions that I didn't necessarily agree with. Like I showed the 1-star ratings for the books that I enjoyed as well. So the commentary, the idea is that we can disagree. Like I can like a book that somebody else didn't, and vice versa. With all that said and done, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in another video very soon. Goodbye.